PharmAust is a clinical stage biotechnology company developing therapeutics for neurodegenerative diseases. The company is focused on repurposing monepantel for amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, the most common form of motor neurone disease. It has recently realised significant milestones in the development of monepantel for this sclerosis. These achievements include a recent study that could potentially lead to accelerated approval with the US FDA for monepantel for the treatment of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis in 2026. Joining me ahead of appearing at Australian Equities Day in Singapore is PharmAust Managing Director Michael Thurn. Michael, welcome to the Stock Network.
Thank you.
Now, PharmAust has recently moved to deliberately prioritise neurodegenerative diseases, including Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and Huntington's disease. What motivated this shift in focus?
The shift was really a commercial decision that stems from the success of our recent phase 1 results in motor neurone disease, or more specifically, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. That's the major form of motor neurone disease. And the underlying pathology that's associated with motor neurone disease, buildup of toxic proteins that causes the degeneration of the neurons, proteopathies, is a pathology that's associated with a number of neurodegenerative disease, whether it's Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, or Huntington's. So the success of this phase 1 study, particularly around safety and tolerability long-term, but also the signals that we saw with regards to being able to decrease or prolong the life of patients in that phase 1 study has really turned us to focus on other neurodegenerative diseases. And these other neurodegenerative diseases, a bit like motor neurone disease, they have quick development time. So, for example, in motor neurone disease, we now have an opportunity to just do one more clinical study that could see the drug receive accelerated approval from the FDA. And what that means is that it means that we can reduce the cost associated with the development timeline. We can also be in a position to potentially make this all-important drug available to patients that need it within a relatively short time frame, potentially the end of 2026. The other traction is that there's been a lot of movement in neurodegenerative diseases with big pharma, and a lot of that's come from the recent approvals of drugs for Alzheimer's disease. There's been 3 drugs that have been approved for Alzheimer's disease. So big pharma and mid pharma, for that matter, are starting to look at other opportunities in neurodegenerative diseases for commercial transactions, whether that's a partnership or looking to acquire the drug. So we're building a platform, a portfolio of products. Our main product is in motor neurone disease, but we're also looking at these other interesting neurodegenerative diseases where there's really not many treatments available, like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and Huntington's disease, to provide a strong offering for a potential partnership or an acquisition with a large pharmaceutical company.
Absolutely. And Michael, PharmAust's monepantel was recently granted Orphan drug designation for the treatment of ALS by the US FDA. What positives do you expect to flow on from this development?
Well, the immediate positives is really engagement from potential pharmaceutical partners, like I previously mentioned. So having that orphan drug designation by the FDA gives us that visibility, particularly in the US, but it also enables us to get regulatory assistance from the FDA. And for a rare disease like motor neurone disease, to have as much engagement as possible with the FDA is obviously important to ensuring to get your drug approved. But there are many other positives, particularly in the long term, like tax incentives, but the one that everyone is after, which is the 7 years market exclusivity upon approval of that drug for, in our particular case, motor neurone disease or amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. I think, though, that a lot of Australian biotech companies use the orphan drug designation as a lever to show progress, but they don't really understand how to use the designation properly, and particularly when it comes to having to incorporate a company in the US and being able to claim the tax incentives from day one. That's something that PharmAust is actively seeking at the moment, incorporating a company in the US and being able to claim those tax incentives from day one.
Well, Michael, thank you so much for the update on PharmAust, everything you're working on, and look forward to hearing more at Australian Equities Day in Singapore in September.
Thanks very much.